We have been since July. I think the first day we got here was July 29th. So we're going on 4.5 weeks here for this kickoff, almost 5. Our team is, we feel like we're obviously ready for Saturday night. There's still a few kinks that we need to work out on offense and defense and special teams. But I do know we're excited about hitting somebody else for the first time. We've been banging on each other for a while. But we are looking forward to this opportunity. We do know it's a huge step up, especially watching them play, UMass play last Saturday night, and the type of game that they played. It is a completely different level, and it's going to take us playing a really good game of football for all 60 minutes to have a chance to come out and win. But that's what the expectation is, and that's what you'll see out of our team play Saturday.
What's the communication between you and Jobin like, obviously taking over the reins? How much have you guys talked, I guess, over the last month or two about what he wants to see, what you want to do, things like that? I mean, what's the communication been like?
We communicate weekly. It might be about how our injuries are doing with the team, or it might be just how does UMass look on video? How do you compare them? It might be, hey, how's things just going with you and the transition? He's not tried to stay involved or look over your shoulder at all. I've reached out to him multiple times about things that I need his advice on, or this is what we're doing. What do you think? To get his perspective from it. But he's told me from the get-go, I'm not there to look over your shoulder. You do things the way you feel like you need to do them within our philosophy. If you need me, then use me. If you need to talk, or he's came by and seen the team once or twice and hung out with him. He's going to come back and do that again. And so it's been good. He's been hands off. Sometimes I probably need him more than he's been here. So, but he's done at least in that part. He's done well.
I know you have Willie on your staff. You brought him from Charleston Southern. Facing the guys that are on the staff now, maybe when you were at Charleston Southern, has the transition been a little easier, maybe knowing how they coach, or how's that kind of gone with the new guys?
It's been good. Obviously, it's a different voice, and it's not a completely different system. I mean, we're running a lot of similar things. It's worded differently. Terminology is different, and so they've been good. They've bought into it. The one thing that I believe in is if you're going to do something, your coaches have to be the backbone of it. They have to be preaching to the people in the room that, hey, this is what we're doing and this is the why. And the staff that was here has done a tremendous job. I see why the success has had on offense, and they've been good for me. They've helped me grow as well, and I think we all have similar personalities, and we all believe in what we're doing.
Coach, you're just a couple of days away from the start. What's your quarterback situation? I mean, Abercrombie said he didn't know, but that may be because he didn't want to steal your thunder. So. Yeah, you have a starting quarterback? No,
he's about right on right now. We're working toward it. We have a plan for it right now that what we want to do. You'll probably see multiple guys play, and probably early. We'll practice again tomorrow, and make the decision going from there. We have in our mind what we want to do, who's it going to be, and how we're going to use each and every one that will play. And then we'll see what happens Saturday night. So if somebody's got a hot hand, you'll see them going on. If not, then we'll try to put in there whoever gives us the best chance to move the ball.
Do you think that makes it tougher for UMass to game plan, knowing you guys may play some multiple quarterbacks?
It might, but I'll be honest. I'd like to know who it's going to be myself. It'd make me feel a lot better too if I felt good about the consistency there. But it could. But I'm sure they've got every video from the last 2 years of where I was at, so they have an idea of what you're going to do now, who's doing it, and they got to find out their strengths. So during pregame, when we have about 12 quarterbacks out there warming up, they're going to be watching pretty hard to find out who it is. So, but maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
Coach, are you going into the first year of U1, of FBS? You don't have to start the quarterback necessarily 3 days before the game. Are you concerned that you haven't been able to pinpoint one guy that's definitely the standout and knowing the level of competition you're about to face for the rest of the season?
I'm not concerned with who we have. They all have their strengths. I think it's just more so what you have to do to win that game. And maybe the strength of one of the quarterbacks is not going to help us be successful versus what the defense is trying to do. So that's part of the reason we've been trying to find out the quarterback-wise who can do what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and then compare it to the game plan that we want to put together and see who gives us the best chance. So I have and our staff, we have a good idea of what's going to happen. So I'm not we're going to flip a coin and make a decision. We have a good idea who it's going to be and who's going to play and win. But also with what they are capable of doing, can we move the ball and score touchdowns? If we can't, then we got to find somebody else to help us do something a little different. So I don't want to say we have two game plans, but we have different ways we're going to have to attack to try to put points on the board right now.
Just a quick follow-up. You have 6 listed as number 1 on the depth chart. Have you at least got down to 3 or something?
We'll see after Thursday. We'll see after Thursday.
Coach, the development of Alex James, where do you see him playing this year, and how much do you see him playing?
I think Alex will play considerably. Alex is, come from spring. Spring was a learning curve for him. He's got himself in pretty good shape over this summer, and I think he's had a pretty solid fall camp. He's still young. He's still going to, have some inexperience and make some mistakes, but he's hungry. I think you'll see him play a big role throughout the season. I think you'll see him play a good role Saturday night because he's a guy that can do a lot of different things. He's a pretty multiple running back. And we like just the mentality he has. I think he's a good mix to Osh and some of the other guys that we have. He's a little different than those guys. And we'll be able to use the talents that he has. I'll start with the secondary. Our secondary has improved tremendously during this time frame. I think that was a big question mark just with the inexperience and the lack of depth. But I think we've developed some pretty good depth back there. We've got some quality competition in the secondary and some guys that we can rotate in that can make some plays. And so I've been surprised and pleasantly surprised with their development, how quick it has happened. I think linebacker-wise, Shane's obviously coming back. That's been a stalwart for us there. Silas Kelly, who's a young player, I think he's got a chance to do some good things. Quay Paul played quite a bit last year. And we got some other guys that have either played in the secondary and move up and done some. Karan Johnson's played quite a bit, so we've got a few guys there that've got some experience. It's all going to start with our front D line because I think we've got some good players that can get after the passer and stop the rush and allow those young guys in the secondary to sort of grow up a little bit and maybe make some mistakes and get away with them. But I've been pleased with the development so far.
Out of the true freshmen, are you going to redshirt? I'm assuming a majority of those guys. Is anybody on that? And the guys coming in right now going to play this year?
We'll have some. Yes, we'll have some. What we try to do, if they're good enough to play, we're going to play them in some role, in some capacity. How much they play really determines on them and our depth at other places. But if they can help us on special teams, we're going to play them. I don't foresee any offensive linemen playing right away. I don't know if they're quite ready yet, but the other skill positions and places in secondary and linebacker, I think you might see some young people play. If certain things happen, they've got the ability to do that. If we have any depth issues, so they're getting reps just like they're a backup, and if something happens, they'll go in. If they never crack that starting lineup, then we'll make that decision down the line.
How awesome is it to have a guy like Evan Raven kicking field goals for you, knowing that he's a weapon for you, that he can change the game and or field position for that matter?
Well, I think it's huge. Anytime you get the opportunity to get down there close to the red zone, I'm not going to tell you he's 100%, but to feel really good about our kicking game and hey, if we're going to line up for a field goal, we got a great chance of making it. That takes a lot of pressure off of a play caller because hey, we get down there, we get a shot, we at least get 3 points. One of our goals on offense, one of our objectives is to always end every drive with a kick, either a touchdown, PAT, or a punt. And so when you have somebody like him that's such a weapon there in the way he punts and then kicking, it gives you a lot of leeway with some things that you can do. So he's had a really good fall camp, really done a nice job with our kicking game, and it's got a lot of confidence. And with kicking, it's all about your confidence, and that you're not worried about which way the wind's blowing or what color pants you're wearing, and he's done a nice job with that.
You were the pep rally last night on campus. A lot of buzz right now around the program. Kind of what are you expecting atmosphere-wise over here Saturday night?
Well, I hope the expectations are we're going to have a packed-out crowd. We're going to have a lot of student involvement. I think there is, as you mentioned, great excitement about just making this jump and then playing new teams you've never played before in the first FBS game. So I anticipate, as long as it's not bad weather, a good crowd. But one of the things that we've told the team is you got to control what you control, whether this thing gets cleared and there's a lot of people in there or we're just playing by ourselves and it's us and UMass and nobody in there. It doesn't matter. But I hope that we can create a home field advantage where not only it's packed out all the time, but they stay, through thick and thin, through the ups and downs, through halftime, and through all those things. That we have a crowd that wants to stay and believes in what type of team we're putting on there. And I think that's the sign that your fans are involved because they not only want to see you win, but they feel connected to the team, and that's what we're trying to do.
What's your excitement in like getting to coach here at Coastal? Obviously, it's unfortunate with the Joe situation, but to be the head coach to step in and to lead Coastal in your first game against UMass, what's your personal excitement?
You know, I've not had a lot of time to really think about it because I've been so much offensive-minded, preparing for the offense, being the coordinator part of it. But I guarantee on Saturday I'll be nervous on that game day just because of one, you know, is your team prepared? So you're worried about a little bit of, you've done everything to prepare for whatever might happen. And then two, you want your guys to play well. But then three, it is the first game, and it is the first opportunity for the community to see what your team's about. And you want to make sure you represent yourself well. And it would be really nice to make sure we get that first win out of the way right off the bat, so that's not a monkey on your back a little bit too. So there'll be a little nervousness and a lot of excitement. And but I'm gonna try to treat it like I always have. When the first time I was head coach at Division II, I think we had 32 people in the stands or something when I was there. So it's the same pressure, just more people. You know, there's more people that care about it, but you still want to go out and play well, and we'll treat it the same way.
You touched on it a little earlier. UMass has already played this year. They played a quality opponent in Hawaii. They also played a lot of quality opponents last year.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing out of them, and kind of who are some guys that you're kind of triggering on for Saturday?
Well, they have, you know, and I think there's a benefit to playing like that. They're able to, you know, there's always some kinks that you're trying to work out, those first game jitters, so to speak. So I do think that might give them an advantage. Now, they've not seen us. We've had an opportunity to see them, so you hope maybe that advantage can be taken away a little bit. But, you know, the thing with them, I think they're a pretty good team. Last year and even this game, they had numerous opportunities to win it, and for whatever reason didn't go their way towards the end. And I'm sure they're, after watching that video, they're sort of kicking themselves about they didn't get that win. I think defensively, they've got a transfer linebacker from Towson named Barr that really played well in their first game, and he's a really good linebacker. I think he really stood out. They've got a defensive end. He slips my mind right now. He's number 4. That they moved up to defensive end from linebacker that can really rush the passer. And then they've got a corner named Jamey Rogers that is an excellent player. That was as a freshman, had I think 6 interceptions, had an interception the other day, is really a lockdown corner. So they've got 3 really good players, and I think they got some solid pieces. On offense, they've got a tight end that is a really good player. Hawaii had a tough time stopping him, and they've got a pretty good running back, and they're really big up front. I think that's going to be the challenge for us is going where, you know, in the past maybe we've been the bigger team against other opponents. Now we're going to see some really big guys. That's the big difference in recruiting. And how we can hold up to that. You know, how do we respond to that? What's our advantage? What are we going to try to do? But they're a solid team overall, and you're sort of glad they got beat because you don't want them to feel like now they got the momentum. But I'm sure they're kicking themselves saying, hey, if we correct this, we're going to go down and take care of business. So it should be an exciting game.
Coach, what's your expectations on Max Joseph this year?
Well, I think Max has a chance to be a big contributor. We're going to use the tight end quite a bit. Max's ability has never been his issue. He's got a lot of ability. It's just been the want to, the drive, the focus that he needs to have. He's gotten better over the last 6 months to where we think he can be a big contributor for us. I think eventually he can cause some matchup problems for some defenses because he's a big guy that can really run athletically. He's just got to continue to learn how to be consistent. Consistency has been his big issue. He'll look great, and then he'll have a couple of days where he struggles a little bit. But I think the more and more confidence he gets when he gets in the game and starts making some plays, I mean, his role is going to be bigger than it's ever been before, so he's going to be expected to make some plays. And sometimes when you give kids those expectations, they blossom. When they think they're maybe not as important, they sort of go through the motions, and he knows that he's going to be a big part of what we're doing. And so the expectations on him are higher, and he's trying to live up to those, which has been a good thing.
Who's your starting quarterback?
Right now, we haven't decided yet, but we still the guys, they're looking good right now. All of them looking good. And right now, we still haven't decided who's going to be the starting quarterback. But I have faith in all the guys at quarterback right now.
How excited are you to step into that role? Obviously, I'm sure you learned a lot from D'Angelo. What's it going to be like for you to kind of step in and get to play a little more this year at the running back position?
It's big. I mean, it's no replacing a guy like D'Angelo Henderson. He one of like the best players I've ever seen, and with my own eyes in person. And so I'm just gonna like play my game, and I mean it's a great feeling, being behind him, learning a lot from him. But I'm just gonna play my game.
It's kind of been over a month since Coach Mobley announced that he wasn't going to be here this year. Any different going into Saturday, or kind of business as usual?
Same thing. I mean, we still got the same goal, be a man, and nothing really changed. It's basically all the same.
What do you see from that UMass defense? They've already played one game. I'm sure you guys went over the film with Hawaii. What stands out about those guys? You look at them on film.
I mean, you can see they play hard. They pretty big. They some pretty big guys, and they all make sure they get to the ball and play hard.
Kind of your first game of your senior year, kind of what do you want to, any goals for yourself you want to accomplish this year? Or?
My main goal is just to make sure all of Coastal Carolina community proud and just give everything I got every play.
Bryce, when you look at this offense for UMass, they put up some nice numbers against usually a pretty solid Hawaii team. What did you see from these guys when you looked at them on film?
Like Osharmar said, we saw some very big guys, as to be expected when we're taking the next step to go from FCS to FBS. But the defense will continue to do what it does, is give it your all, swarm to the ball, and just make sure we keep attacking.
Do you guys feel like you're being overlooked a little bit this year because of the jump and you guys not playing at this level before? Do you feel like maybe teams are going to kind of overlook you guys because of that transition?
I feel like everyone will automatically pin us as an underdog because we have had success at the FCS level, but we have not played at the FBS level. We have not played the consistent, hard-running teams, hard-passing teams, big offensive linemen, bigger quarterbacks, bigger everywhere throughout the field like we were able to play in the FCS, like how other teams have played against those FBS teams.
Do you feel like this team could duplicate what App State did in their first year in FBS and maybe have a nice first season and kind of surprise some people?
Well, the goal of Coastal Carolina football team isn't to imitate anyone, but is to be ourselves so that way we can be trendsetters, so that way we do set the bar higher than it has ever been set before.
Got a first game without Coach Joe this Saturday. How has camp gone so far, and kind of do you see any difference with Jamey taking over now?
There is a minor change with Coach Chadwell's, mainly how he talks versus how Coach Moglia talks. You have a man who preaches about his experiences from the business world, but then you have Coach Chadwell, who's also had success, especially against us when he was at Charleston Southern, but he's preaching from more of a football standpoint and a personal standpoint of what he believes in as well. So the vibe is still the same, it just comes from two different places.
You guys have been practicing, it seems like, probably for countless weeks now. I mean, how amped up are you to finally do something different, get out and play a game as opposed to just practicing and kind of going through the motions maybe?
Well, we're just amped to finally play someone else and actually hit someone who isn't our teammates. That's just like that first hit is just always the best. It's unexplainable.